Shuckalaka kapow. How's it going, old schoolers? You're kicking it old school with Russell J.S., and I am your host, your nostalgia MC, your Gen X loving patriarch, Russell J.S. Today I got a new album versus album, track by track. I am going to pin, get this, one artist is going against himself. Which of his, he came from the legendary band Kiss. He departed in 1983 due to some issues that he had, personal issues, and then he reemerged by 1987 with a whole new band and came out. He had, first off, he knew he was destined to be a good solo artist. What two albums are we talking about? We are going to pin Ace Frehley's Kiss solo record from 1978 versus Frehley's Comet in 1987, his real main debut album post-Kiss. I mean, I was going to go ahead. I want to tell you something. I was actually going to make a video. I was planning on it back in June to pin this up against Ozzy Osbourne's Blizzard of Oz, because they got 10 tracks each. They both rock. But, since Ozzy's death, I can't really bring myself just yet to pin anything against Oz. Because, I don't want to, there's probably other vloggers doing it, but I can't bring myself to do it at this point. So I'm going to pin Ace Frehley's 78 Kiss solo record against Frehley's Comet. Now, the reason why I wanted to do that, though, was because when you think about it, when Ozzy left Sabbath in 1979 and embarked on a solo career where he hooked up with Randy Rhoads, Lee Kerslake, and Bob Daisley, he was going to call the new band Blizzard of Oz. It was going to be unlike anything. It wasn't going to even be like Black Sabbath. Just like, so he was going to call it the band Blizzard of Oz. And Blizzard of Oz was going to be, the first album from Blizzard of Oz was going to be his self-titled debut. And this is the same thing with Ace Frehley's Comet. But I guess the record guys, they said, no, we're going to call the album Ozzy, we're going to call the album Blizzard of Oz. And you're just going to be a solo artist, simply Ozzy Osbourne. And I'm sure they said the same thing to Ace Frehley. They're like, Ace, come on, man. Think of it as you wanted a solo career. You wanted to get out of Kiss to pursue a solo career. So just call the album Frehley's Comet. But that's neither here or there. And so there's actually 9 songs off the solo record and 10 songs. I don't know how we're going to do this, but I'm going to work through. Without further ado, let's see which one of these bad Oscars takes the win, shall we? All right, track versus track. Ace Frehley Kiss solo record 78 versus Ace Frehley's Comet. Okay, first tracks. Rip It Out versus Rock Soldiers. I have to say, I love both these songs. I really, really do. So I'm going to give them each a point because I love them both. And it's going to hurt me not to give one or the other a point. Okay, Speeding Back to My Baby versus Breakout. Oh, man. Yeah, Speeding Back to My Baby is okay, but I'm going with Breakout on this one. Snowblind versus Into the Night. I love them both. Again, this is another thing where I got to give both albums a point. Ozone versus Something Moved. Again, this is one where I have to go ahead, and I'm still giving them each a point. And so far, it's 78 solo album, 3 points, and Frehley's Comet, 4 points. And you know what? People are going to say, oh, you like Frehley's Comet more. You're not a real fan. You know what? you know, hey, I just look at what the songs are, you know? Oh, yeah, and I'm not a very happy camper today because I dropped my vape. And the top part, I got to hold it down with my thumb just to get, just to get any vape. All right, where were we? What's on your mind versus We Got Your Rock? Well, I listened to both these albums back to back, from beginning to end, and you know what? I'm stating everything that is true. All right. New York Groove versus Love Me More. Nope, sorry, I have to go with New York Groove. I'm in Need of Love versus Calling to You. Well, I do like them both. And you know what? I'm in Need of Love. I think I'm going to go ahead and give the solo record the point for that one. Wiped Out versus Dolls. Yeah, Wiped Out kind of sounds like that classic surf rocks tune, Wipeout. It's okay, and I'm not a big fan of Dolls, so I'm going to have to go with Wiped Out. Fractured Mirror versus Stranger in a Strange Land. Easily, I love that instrumental that Ace does. I mean, they even used it in the movie Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. And, it kind of has that kind of vibe, like almost Zeppelin meets The Who. And the synth guitars, I mean, it gives it that eerie sound, especially that scene in Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park when you see Sam by himself exploring Devereaux's laboratory, and he ends up disappearing and turns into a human android, and it just sets the mood for that scene. So I'm giving it to Fractured Mirror. And now here's where we're at a crossroads. Here's where we're, at a pickle. You see, there's only 9 songs on the solo album, and there's 10 songs off Frehley's Comet. So I'm just going to say it's going to be Blank Space versus Fractured 2. And you know what? Because Fractured 2 sounds like a rehash of Fractured Mirror, with the beginning intro, I'm going with Blank Space. So let me count up the points. We've got Ace's Kiss solo record 78 with 9 points. Frehley's Comet with 5. So you know what that means? And here you will have it. Check that out. The Solo 78 is the winner of this bad Oscar of an album versus album. And I also want to remind you that, remember, if you're new to the channel, hit a like, subscribe, leave comments down in the box below. Tell all your friends. Tell your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, your brothers, your sisters, your pets about this channel if they love to kick it old school. And, help me build this channel up. And I got plenty more in the book right here. I mean, I'm also going to have ready Cheap Trick at Budokan versus AC/DC. If you want blood, you got it. And I'm also going to be doing Kiss Destroyer, which is one of my favorite Kiss albums, one of my main favorites, up against one of my main favorite Blue Oyster Cult albums, Spectres. So, remember, if you're new to the channel, hit a like, subscribe, leave comments down at the box below, and listen to your favorite old school music, watch your favorite old school TV shows, your games, anything you have from your old school nostalgia. And as always, keep it real, keep it fresh, keep it chill. Get you enough. Get you enough of anything. Get you enough of love. Get you enough of peace, tranquility. Less chaos, no chaos. Less drama, no drama. And keep kicking it old school. And as always, Godspeed. May the force be with you always. And I'm not kidding about keep kicking it old school. And shuckalaka kapow.